Hi, today's topic is how to communicate effectively. Before we deal with the how, let's look at the why. Why do we need to communicate effectively? The reasons are: effective communication decreases the chances of misunderstanding, it reduces the possibility of future conflict and dissatisfaction, and it builds a positive environment where relationships, both professional and personal, can thrive. Here are some tips that will help us to communicate effectively. The first tip is: be clear about the purpose or objective of communication. Why are you, as a sender, communicating with the receiver in this particular instance? Are you trying to educate the receiver? Do you want to sell a product? Are you negotiating a business deal? Or do you want to ask someone out on a date? The objective or purpose of communication is important because often this purpose influences things like vocabulary choice, choice of sentence patterns, and the overall tone. The next tip is to cut out irrelevant information. This simply means delete all information, sentences, words, etc. that are not directly connected to the topic being discussed. Let's look at an example. So let's say we have a wife here who calls her husband over the phone one day and she says something like this to her husband: I got home late from work. Now I'm too tired to cook dinner. Please buy some fried rice from the Chinese restaurant that's on your way home from work. That restaurant owner still drives his old car. That's so strange. And get some rice dumplings and dessert for the kids. Okay. What was irrelevant here? Yes, you're right. There were two sentences that were irrelevant. That restaurant owner still drives his old car. That's so strange. These sentences are completely irrelevant in the given situation. Because, think about it. She was too tired and therefore she was asking her husband to buy fried rice, rice dumplings, and dessert. As long as she got what she wanted to eat and what her kids wanted to eat, what does it matter if the restaurant owner drives a new car or an old one? Or what does it matter if the restaurant owner drove a car, a van, a jeep, a truck? None of her business, really. That was totally irrelevant, right? Okay, moving on. The next tip is: be loud enough or be legible. If you're speaking to a receiver or if you're talking to an audience, first and foremost, your voice should be loud enough for people to hear you clearly. At the same time, your pronunciations should be clear enough for people to understand you properly. Depending on the venue you're in or the room you're in, and also the size of the audience, you may need to use gadgets like a microphone, a loudspeaker, or other sound systems. If you're writing on a blackboard or a whiteboard, or if you're writing a letter, your handwriting should be neat and easily readable. If you're texting or typing a document, choose font sizes and font styles that are easily readable as well. The next tip is to avoid unnecessary repetition. Now remember, I said unnecessary repetition. Sometimes repetition is by design, for the sake of emphasis, and that's completely okay. However, as a speaker, do make an effort to avoid repeating yourself too much and too often, because when you do this, it can lead to boredom and inattention. Even worse, what can happen is the audience can begin to feel that you have simply run out of things to say because you were not prepared enough or because you don't know enough about the topic. And that's bad. Next, eliminate communication barriers. At some point, we will have another video that deals with communication barriers in detail. But a common communication barrier is noise. So what you can do is, before you start speaking, you can request the audience to switch off their cell phones and maintain silence so that noise does not interfere with their understanding of the message. The next tip is keep the receiver in mind. As the sender who is responsible for creating the message or composing the message, you have to ask yourself this question always. Who is my receiver? Who is my target audience? Is my receiver a child or an adult? Is my target audience educated or illiterate? Am I communicating with a friend, a business associate, or a client? Now, why is this important? Let me try to explain with one or two examples. Let's say you have been asked to deliver a presentation on the dangers of consuming tobacco-based products. If you're going to present to an audience made up of adults, you can include photographs of patients suffering from lung cancer or mouth cancer, oral cancer, and if you're lucky, the gruesome photographs of the damage that this disease does on the human body. It might motivate your adult audience, your adult receivers, to stay away from products which are tobacco based. But at the same time, if you are asked to deliver this presentation in a school, and let's say your target audience members are below 12 years of age, in this case, you have to delete all the slides or you have to hide all the slides that contain those gruesome pictures of cancer patients, because looking at these images would be too traumatizing for children. They are just too young for it. So what is right and what is acceptable when you're dealing with an adult audience might not be appropriate when you're dealing with younger audience members. At the same time, even your slide design, your animations will have to be little different when you're dealing with younger audiences, since children are more drawn to slides which are more colorful and more visually attractive, right? So you have to keep that in mind. At the same time, another example, if you're communicating with a friend, your tone can be casual and colloquial. But if you're communicating with your boss, with a client or a business associate, your tone cannot be too informal or nonchalant or too casual. You have to sound professional. Another thing is, as a sender, you should be considerate about the circumstances that your receivers are communicating from. Now, for example, during this pandemic time, many teachers have been forced to engage in online classes because there really is no way out. Now, it might so happen that you're a teacher and you're taking online classes, but some of your students might be facing genuine internet related connectivity issues. Now, in this situation, you cannot get frustrated. You cannot scold these students, or you cannot threaten these students or reprimand the students, because the problem is really out of their hands as well. They can't do anything to solve it at their level. So you just have to be understanding of the circumstances that they are in, and you just have to be empathetic and compassionate towards the situation that your receiver finds himself or herself in. To give another example, let's assume you are a manager and there is an important project deadline coming up, and you call a staff meeting and you say, okay, this is a very important project, so from tomorrow, normally you all get to go home at 5 p.m. but because this is an important project and because there is this deadline, from tomorrow for the next 1 month, everyone will have to stay back till 8 pm, and this is not open for negotiation. Okay, fine. Now, most of your employees will understand and they will willingly or unwillingly agree to stay back till 8 pm. But let's say in that project team there is a young single mother who has a very little child at home, and maybe her babysitter leaves at 5:30 every day. So for her, in her circumstance, it is going to be impossible for her to stay back till say 8 p.m. Because she has no one else to supervise the child. In this situation, you have to be considerate towards her circumstance as the sender, and you have to give her maybe 1 week time, 1 week to kind of make an alternate arrangement, so that she can find someone else to take care of the child or supervise the child's safety. So all receivers don't communicate from the same circumstance. Receivers also have their own limitations and their own constraints, and as a sender you should be gracious enough to take those circumstances into consideration. Communication should not unnecessarily create problems for the receiver, and it should not leave a bad taste in the receiver's mouth. To make communication effective, you have to select the most appropriate medium in that given situation. For example, the written medium is completely unsuitable if the receiver is illiterate. In this case, you have to opt for the spoken word. Sometimes an email can come across as too impersonal. A telephone conversation or meeting the person in his office and engaging in a face-to-face conversation may result in the work getting done faster. The next tip is practice. Practice what you are going to say before engaging in oral communication. If you have to give a speech, or if you have to deliver a product presentation or any kind of professional presentation, say a presentation at a meeting with a potential client, please practice so that you are very fluent. Next, master the language of communication. For example, if you are expected to deliver presentations in English during meetings with potential clients, you should work on improving your proficiency in this language. You can take public speaking classes, watch news or movies in English, listen to other presenters presenting in English, practice English conversation skills with family or helpful friends. This next tip is more applicable in situations of written communication, or when you have a situation when a typed document has to be sent somewhere. In this situation, before sending the typed or written document anywhere, proofread and edit the content. So proofread and check and correct grammar and syntax errors. Also check the following: are people's names spelled properly? Also check if people's designations are listed properly. Are dates, facts, figures listed correctly? And also, is the overall tone okay? The next tip is to be concise and respect people's time. Everyone is busy these days, especially in the professional sphere. So learn to get to the point fast without wasting anyone's time. Avoid using long sentences, long paragraphs, and unnecessary details. But at the same time, also remain polite and don't rush through the conversation or communication. There is a difference in being concise and being in a hurry. Learn the difference. As a sender, it is your responsibility to arrange for a way that the receivers can get back in touch with you with their feedback. So if you have delivered some presentations at a workshop, you can prepare some feedback forms that the audience members can fill in and return to you. If you are a teacher, at the end of a lesson, you can prepare a short quiz which will allow you to know whether the students have understood your lesson or not. In official situations, in professional situations, you can at least give out an email ID where people can contact you with doubts or clarifications in case they feel they need it. You should be prepared to act on the feedback as well. So after reading the feedback or after going through the feedback, if you feel that there has been some kind of misunderstanding or some kind of partial understanding, it is your job to take corrective action as quickly as possible. In case of misunderstanding, be prepared to repeat the message. You may have to offer additional examples, additional explanation, additional information, or additional statistics. It is extra work, yes, but as an effective communicator, you just have to do it. Sometimes you may be required or you may have to compose the message entirely all over again in a different language. This will happen particularly if you're living in a multilingual community. So maybe you originally communicated in English, but then your receivers were not able to understand it completely. Therefore, you may have to recast the message, compose the message again in their native language. You may also have to switch between oral and written communication, or you may have to supplement written communication with oral communication. For example, if you sent an email to a colleague and then you realize that this colleague has misunderstood something in the email, you can call up the colleague on phone and then communicate with him orally to clear his doubts. Now all of this is going to be extra work and extra effort from your side, but to be effective as a sender, to be effective as a communicator, sometimes we need to put in that extra bit of work. I will also add that receivers, that is listeners, readers, audience members, receivers also play a role in making communication effective, because communication is a two-way street, isn't it? So as receivers, as listeners, as readers, as audience members, please be attentive and be kind when the senders, that is the speakers, the writers, are trying to communicate with you. Understand that senders are human as well, and be gracious enough to forgive the occasional minor slip-ups, the minor mispronunciations, the minor typo, or even a display of nerves if it happens. Because ultimately, we are all human, no one is perfect, so just ignore the minor flaws here and there, and if both sides give their best and try to be considerate towards each other, there is a greater chance that communication will end up being efficient and effective. So that's all for today's video. Thank you for staying till the end, and in case you found the content helpful, consider hitting the like button or subscribing to the channel. Thank you.